You're listening to a special edition of We Get Work, recorded live from Workplace Horizons 2025 in New York City, Jackson Lewis's annual labor and employment law conference. Over 500 representatives from 260 companies gathered together to share valuable insights and best practices on workplace law issues impacting their business today. Here's your personal invitation to get the insights from the conference delivered directly to you. We'll see you in 2026. Good morning, Kathy. Welcome to Live from Workplace Horizons 2025. It's Friday. It's day 3. I hope you've had a great conference so far.
Definitely. I can't believe it's already day 3. It's really flown by, but it's been great.
Well, there's been a lot of energy in the podcast room this year, so thank you for joining me behind the mic. With me, I have Kathy McGinley, principal in the Baltimore office of Jackson Lewis. Kathy, can you tell us a little bit about your practice, what employers are really concerned about these days, what kinds of questions you're getting?
Sure. So I'm office litigation manager down in Baltimore as well. And so half my practice is just straight up litigation defense. And then the other half of the time, I'm advice and counsel and investigations. A lot of what I'm seeing in advice and counsel right now, aside from Trump 2.0 in the first 100 days, is just continued accommodation requests and how employers can respond, make sure their business needs are met, and really work with the employee to get them either back to work in person, things like that.
It's what we do best. Okay. The title of your presentation was, Can Attorney-Client Privilege Apply to Internal Complaint Investigations, separating fact from fiction? Can you tell us a little bit about your topic and give our listeners a brief summary?
Sure. So employers are conducting internal investigations all the time, either because they're required to by the law under Title VII. If it's a complaint about harassment, discrimination, retaliation, they must investigate to have a defense. Sometimes they just investigate because their policy says and promised they would investigate, and so they're doing it to keep their promises to the employees. And sometimes it's hard to decide. Should it be privileged? Should it not? What are the pros and cons of that? And so that's what David and I went over yesterday.
So what issues did you really delve into during your presentation? And what issues rose to the top? Because you mentioned earlier, right? Like complaints happen every year. How did you decide really what to focus on?
Mm-hmm. It really was back to the basics in terms, everyone's like attorney-client privilege. It's confidential. But how does it get to that point? What are the factors? Making sure you've met that, having a client, an attorney, a communication for advice, keeping it all confidential. How do you do that? And then for corporations, who is the client and who can choose to waive that privilege, which is the Upjohn disclosure that everyone knows that we should be giving all the time. But what is that and how do you make sure that it's met? So we went over that in pretty basic detail.
And I'm guessing there were probably several people interested in that discussion. What other issues, if not that one, really resonated with the audience yesterday?
Yeah. And so I think it was mostly how things can go wrong so easily, and it would, constrain the corporation from seeking a waiver, using something in defense. The reason that we're doing these investigations is to help the company and maybe tell a jury or a judge later what we found, and having the flexibility to do that. And when you don't take just some small steps at the beginning, how you can find yourself in kind of a mess that can't be undone later. So what to do at the beginning, I think, was the most interesting.
So being proactive. We talked about that a lot in the studio this week. Mainly because of all of the changes that have been happening with the new administration, but it seems like the watchwords are proactivity, policies, planning, patience, all the P words. So it sounds like we have a similar theme here. So with that in mind, what are some of the key takeaways you want not only our Workplace Horizons attendees to know, but the listeners of our podcast to know?
Yeah. If you're an attorney in a corporation doing an investigation, give that Upjohn warning and put it right on top of your investigation notes. Write down if the individual understood and that they said yes, and then put that away in your file, and you're pretty much good to go for the rest of your investigation.
So one simple, good, solid takeaway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. How is Jackson Lewis helping clients with these issues and working through complaints that they get on a regular basis?
So we had a guest on our panel, one of our clients, and she went over some of the best practices that she does, which included regular training of managers and HR staff from Jackson Lewis on what is an investigation, how the attorney-client privilege attaches, because they're at the front lines receiving the complaints, getting the investigations kicked off, and that's when you want attorney-client privilege to attach. So if they understand it through regular training, then you're also set up in a good way, and Jackson Lewis can help with that training.
A true partnership. Kathy McGinley, thank you so much for stopping by this morning. I hope you had a great conference, and we'll see you at Workplace Horizons 2026.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Jackson Lewis's podcast, We Get Work. Focused solely on workplace issues, it is our job to help employers develop proactive strategies, strong policies, and business-oriented solutions to cultivate a workforce that is engaged and stable. Please tune into our next program, where we will continue to tell you not only what's legal, but what is effective. We Get Work is available to stream and subscribe on your streaming platform of choice, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. For more information on today's topic, our presenters, and other Jackson Lewis resources, visit jacksonlewis.com. As a reminder, this material is provided for informational purposes only. It is not intended to constitute legal advice, nor does it create a client-lawyer relationship between Jackson Lewis and any recipient.